You're welcome to Business Highlights on Trust TV, where I take you through some of the biggest economic and business developments of the week. My name is Chamun Dabeng, and I'll be your host. We're opening the floor with the bull and the bear on the market. Nigeria's stock market fell 0.53% in the trading week that concluded on July 8th due to profit-taking on the bourse. The market recorded a weekly loss of 138 billion naira over the course of 4 trading sessions as opposed to just 1 day of profits. The market's performance metrics, the all-share index ASI, and the market capitalization fell from the previous weekend when it stood at 51,829.67 points and 27.94 1 trillion naira respectively to 51,557.41 points and 27.803 trillion naira respectively. The review week's loss was caused by record profit taking across all important industries including oil and gas, finance, consumer goods and industrial. On Friday, July 8th, at the conclusion of the trading week, the market's positive year-to-date return printed slightly lower at 20.7%. The market's anticipated upward movement was not sparked by the release of businesses' closed period in advance of half-year results, as investors opted to sell equities for a profit. 3,479 transactions totaling 115.13 million with a value of 1.778 billion naira was made. The top 3 gainers were Caverton, Academy and Namath, up by 9.91, 9.98 and 9.4% respectively, while the top 3 losers for the week were NACO, Corn Erst and Chi PLC, down by 7.71, 5.48 and 4% respectively. And as for the week, there was a total of 20,643 transactions on the exchange's floor involving 822.4 million shares worth 10.37 billion naira. Now, this is less than the 22,155 transactions for 1.35 billion shares valued at 24.49 billion naira that took place the week prior. Well, that's all for the market. After the break, we move on to top stories. We'll be right back. You're welcome to Business Highlights. You're welcome back to Business Highlights on Trust TV. My name is Chamun Dabeng once again, and we're moving on to top stories. Well, as many of you will recall, President Muhammadu Buhari said that Nigeria's economy today is better than it was back in 2015 so far. Well, the statement has garnered backlash from Nigerian citizens. Joining me on the show today is economist Steve Nwachukwu. And before we get to hear from our guests, let's take a look at what Nigerians think. President Muhammadu Buhari recently courted controversy when he claimed that under his administration, the country had become better in comparison to 2015. Nigerians who have borne the brunt of harsh economic consequences of the administration's policies would be justified if they do not agree.
Wow, to me, that's shocking, because as if we're not in this country, we're all in this country. We know how exchange rate to start with was in 2015 to compare to now. Now dollar is almost 600 and something naira per $1, and cost of living is keep going high and high.
How can you compare 2015 to 2022? No, now you can't compare it. Okay, we are talking about bag of rice. As at then, a bag of rice was around 18,000 naira, and today a bag of rice is how much? 30,000 naira. As at then, you can easily get vehicle to a particular place at the rate of 50 naira, at the rate of 100. Now you get where you could get to a very short distance. They will tell you 150.
2015 is much better now than 2022 in all rounds, in education wise, in business, in children, in hospitality, in academy, in food. People are dying. 2015 is far better.
The statement by the president was met with backlash by many Nigerians who beamed a light on the struggles of the people. As Nigeria's economy continues to worsen, the question of how did things get so bad comes to mind, and more importantly, is there an end to this situation? There is no doubt insecurity and vandalism have both played a major role in Nigeria's economic woes. With such challenges, how does the country develop its infrastructure to the point of attracting foreign direct investment?
If I should say, there are various factors that has led to this. One is the management of the economy itself, because if the economy is well managed, some of where we got ourselves to be today may not be where it is today. And then the inflationary also trend that is also there. Then thirdly, our own productivity, over reliance on imported, everything imported, that will not do the same, because what we need for an average economy to keep starting is, production, investment. Yeah, but that's what you call, those are all has to do with what we call governance. If you have a good governance, right, which now, right now, honestly, I must say, we don't have it. If you have good governance, if you have a transparent governance, these things will be lessened. And then tackling insecurity nationwide.
The people have continued to call out government players to intensify their efforts and solve the country's problems. All right, so since the statement made by President Muhammadu Buhari, there has been a lot of comparison between 2015 and 2020. So we've put together that list, if we could actually take a look at that. It's basically a comparison of some of the money or some of our finances from 2015 to 2022. As you can see, there's quite a disparity between the two of them. But yes, Mr. Steve, what do you think about the statement by the president and the responses that Nigerians have put out there?
Thank you once again for having me. I think I should start from this lighter note. The government itself should be careful with the level of insensitivity of their comment. It was quite an insensitive comment. In the plight of Nigerians, what Nigerians are passing through, you're still making a comparison of what they know for sure, the pains they pass through on daily basis to survive. And you are trying to tell them they are better Nigerians, having a better living than 2015. You could look for other things and say than to make such an insensitive comment that Nigerians are better, that the economy is better. Just look at the statistics are there. The data, the statistics speaks for itself. Even the feelings of Nigerians are there to tell. It's quite high insensitivity of government to make such government. And I know since he said it, nobody have come out to defend it, or nobody have even come out to expatiate it, or to tell you in what areas. In what area would you say that 2015 and now is better? So it's quite, I find it appalling to even to make a comment from me. What will I say? On what area will I say 2015 or 2022 is better?
There's so many aspects that you do need to take a look at. There's electricity, there's education, there's insecurity. All of those things are questions that that Nigerians are putting out there. How many of them really feel safe even when they're within their own homes?
It's a shame. It's a shame we have to talk about this. But all the same, if we should talk about in the high cost of living, high cost of production, factories winding down, Nigerians losing their job, you have issues with high rate of unemployment. These are practical things that we are living. We have cousins, we have brothers, we have sisters that are going home, going to bed without food. We have malnutrition. There is a lot that Nigerians are passing through. So we should not be looking at comparison. Rather, we should be looking at things we should be doing to improve the livings, to improve the lives of Nigeria. I heard him say the other day that he's going to lift about 100 million Nigerians out of these are things, very thoughtful conversation we should be looking at, not to be making comparison.
Yeah,
that's the level of insistency. So we should be looking at, giving us hope, inspiring hope in Nigeria by telling us, yes, we're going to leave 100 million out of poverty, 10 million every day. We should be rather discussing on how many have you lifted at? What are you doing to actually lift Nigeria out of poverty? That is much healthier than talking comparison of 2015
yes,
and
but
2022.
it's one thing to have the conversation and say, oh, let's talk about lifting Nigerians out of poverty. But as we are now, how many more Nigerians are being pushed into poverty?
I think that should even be the discussion. How many more Nigerians has gone into
Because
poverty
than
how many have you lifted out of poverty? So it's a shame, like I said, that we have these very issues to talk about. But rather, I would like to continue to provide solutions. Let them do the things they could do, possibly to actually, lift the sufferings or reduce the sufferings of Nigerians. Like I keep saying, if the government is sincere, if the government feels the pulse of Nigerians, if the government has their empathy, is sympathetic to the sufferings of Nigeria, by now government or federal government of Nigeria or presidency led by Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari should be setting up a very good, formidable committee that will be looking at this very issue of pains that Nigeria passed through to get petroleum products, should be looking at issue of the tariff on electricity supply to Nigerians, and also looking at issues on high cost of living. Because we continue to say high cost of living, most of these very big, short blue companies are going fact every day. You're looking at their books, or both the top and bottom lines, they are showing huge trillions as we speak. Let me take the cement industry in particular. Dangote Cement, Bua Cement, and Lafarge Cement, these three, I'm not trying to be specific or mention, but I'm just taking out one of the sectors itself. They are still recording trillions of naira as profit. Why? Because they continue to lift up their prices, continue to cause more hardship to Nigerians than in reality what the cost of producing these items.
But can we take a look at, okay, like now you've brought up these industries or companies themselves, and you say, okay, they're lifting up their prices. But right now, a lot of businesses in Nigeria are basically facing the devil and the deep blue sea, because you have issues of inflation. Now there's the crisis or the war going on in Russia/Ukraine, which has basically affected every single aspect of so many different economies, not just Nigeria. It's practically worldwide. So what other option do they really have but to also raise their prices? If they don't do that, won't they end up being at a loss?
Well, I think, like you said, yes, they are corporate organizations. The sole aim of such institutions is to make profit. But what we are looking at is government. We are looking at the claims of Mr. President. We are looking at the pains Nigerians are actually going through on a daily basis. What can a sincere government do to reduce the sufferings of Nigeria? That's the angle I'm looking. I'm not looking, a businessman is there to make his profit, but the government insists. Why are we regulating price of petroleum? Is it not because if you allow the business people to fix the price will get to out of hands of Nigerians and bring more pains and sufferings? It's not why we're paying subsidy, paying trillions of naira as subsidy. The same can also be applied in the food chains. The same can also be applied in policies and programs that government comes up with that will produce this very item, make it much available to Nigerians. We are talking about insecurity. Farmers cannot access their farmlands. Policy should be done that in the area of security, you secure those arable areas that you find are farmers farming. So these are the fundamental issues we should be looking from the perspective of government, from a government that is sincere to look at the issues around their citizens. So government, like I say, should be setting up a high-power task force that will be liaising. The sole aim of this very committee is to negotiate prices downwards. You cannot be having these prices selling at above the average, above the income of Nigerians.
All right, so there's always going to be the question of, is there, really an actual change? They say the more things change, the more things stay the same. We've had several task forces, let me put it out there jokingly. And how much of a change has actually been brought as far as, the implementation of these, task force?
Okay, I think on the issue of implementation is the sincerity of the leadership. As a CEO of Nigeria, President Buhari is, as a CEO, the Chief Executive Officer, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Federal Republic, he can issue at commands, he can issue at policies, programs, just like you have executive orders. These are things that these orders are meant to target to a particular sector to have a result. If you are sincere that you want a bag of rice so that this particular, there are basic things you need to do. Farmers need to be on ground to farm. You need to put out some even tariff, or there are a lot of policies you can come up with and make sure that these very essential food items are available for Nigerians. That's the truth. If it's sincere, those committees will work. If it's sincere to tackle most of this price hike, I mean, I'm saying it from as a point of the hike, because a good number of them have access to, as a player in the capital market. I've seen their books. They are making huge profits. None of them, all of them are making huge profit, even those providing services to us. Even the banks, on daily basis, they are just changing Nigeria, taking from our little monies with 10 naira, 20 naira deducted from your account is running into billions. So the truth is that we need to have a sincere government. We need to have a sincere CEO that will look at these things dispassionately and face them. These guys, yes, they are huge, they are big boys, and you need to call them for a round table and discuss with them. Issue of cement, you discuss with them. Please, I can't have cement sold above 3,000 naira in my country. And they will implement it. They will still make the profit. Issue of flour and wheat, yes, a good chunk of it is imported. The issue of Russia and Ukraine have caused the prices to go up. Yes, what has CBN has been doing anchor program for more than 2-3 years, dishing out trillions to farmers. This is the time to prove that these farmers are working. Provide those wheat, preserve that millet, provide those grains that you have been issuing at trillions of naira given to farmers under different programs like the Anchor Growers programs and the rest. We should be seeing results as we speak.
All right, so now coming to these policies that the government have actually put out there or implemented in order to change the current economic instability. Now, we've had policies like you just talked about, the Anchor Borrowers programs. There are different programs being put out there. How well would you say the government has actually implemented these programs? Are there certain policies that we have, whether monetary or fiscal, that are actually working against the country as opposed to for?
Of course. We see most times, I keep saying it, that these guys listen to some experts that may throw up these very policies or throw up these proposals. Politicians will hijack it. If they hijack it, they push away those experts that will design most of it. Anchor Borrowers program is a fantastic way, is a fantastic program if well implemented. Like I said, if well implemented is now time to judge, time to separate, is to now that we are having issue of shortage in wheat, shortage in grains, that we should be telling CBN, please, those farmers that you gave money 2 years, 3 years, where are the silos they've been storing these very farm products? Where are the silos for those grains that you need to release to the market to cushion the price? So the question is, these guys stole most of this paperwork, most of this proposal, and politicians hijack it. Believe you me, if you take a forensic audit of that Anchor Borrowers program, you will find out that 70 to 80% of money disbursed was disbursed to politicians. Politicians who have no farming, portfolio politicians who have not just, will I call them portfolio farmers? Farmers that doesn't have any farmland, but they will take those billions and billions of naira that CBN dishes. That's why you cannot find those grains now to cushion the prices. A loaf of bread is selling above 900, 800, an average of 700 naira.
There was the rice paddies, the rice pyramids, the beans pyramid. I think there was also the corn pyramid that the government tried running. What happened to that? Because the costs of beans and rice and corn, all of it has basically just gone up. Was it just for show? What do Nigerians...
Most Nigerians believe it's just for that political show, just to make that political point that we have a pyramid, the largest pyramids. Because the reality, what Nigerian discussion should have been, what is the average price of a bag of rice available in the market? You're having a pyramid that shows that there is abundance of rice. Why Nigerians are waffling in poverty and we cannot afford to buy an average bag of rice? For average family cannot afford to buy a bag of of rice. The reality is that these are shows. When you have a system or a government that lives and strives on propaganda, this is what you get. Because those money, those costs of organizing that program should actually be channeled in making the cost of those bags of rice or paddies or whatever available to Nigerians in a cheaper rate. But they rather, because they strive in propaganda, they will focus more on the show, showing you what they've done, and in reality, Nigerians are suffering. So that is a big challenge.
All right. So when we were running that report, we had Dr. Hussaini talking about FDI, that's foreign direct investment into the country. What are some of the factors that are actually affecting FDI? We've had a situation where, you know, the top major oil firms are now divesting. We've had some that have already divested. The most recent one was, I believe, Total Energies and
Shell and
yes,
the rest
Shell.
of them.
Yes.
Apart from their diversification, they have the right. They are a private entity. They can decide to leave your country at any time. But that's not the major reason why we had these very short flows of FDIs. It's actually the posture of government. In economists, one thing I know for sure, your posture will determine the hope of investors. They will have faith in you. If you have a good government, a good CEO, people will want to come and invest in your institution. We continue to have our capital importation drop from that 2015 till now. Less than, we have barely nothing to account for as FDI. These are because people don't have confidence in the system. The insecurity is there. Which investor will want to come and invest in Nigeria or invest in Zamfara or invest in all those troubled areas or invest in any of these areas that you're having high rate of insecurity, when they know for sure that if the factory is set up today, tomorrow nobody will work in the farmer, or nobody will work in the factory, or even the factory will not be even be operational. So these are the things. These are the things, all those areas that could have helped. And moreover, we are a consuming nation. We continue to consume. The chest for dollar on daily basis is actually causing most of this very economy. So because government, we need to have a CEO who understands the economy, who understands the system and put the right policies that will actually help the system balance. And we will not continue to be consuming. We should be producing in some areas.
All right, so talking about Nigeria being a consuming nation, there's been so many attempts to basically de-globalize the food products that we have and try to localize the market. Of course, we've seen the government ban certain foods from coming into the country. How well would you say the country or the government has done as far as producing our own food stuff?
Okay, yeah, food security is also should be one of the key cardinal national security policy of any government, because the security of the country and the food security is one of the cardinal areas that government, every sincere government actually look at. Then if you're talking about those things that this government have done actually to secure, I have not seen anything. I have not seen any realistic thing they have done to secure our borders or secure the food Nigerians should be consumed. Because if we are talking about food security, we should be talking about what's the size of our farming lands. We should be talking about what the size of the silos, what you have at reserves in our silos. These are the areas one should be looking at. But as we speak, in our silos are empty. I continue to challenge Central Bank of Nigeria. You have invested so much in the agriculture through the anchor board. Please take us to the silos and let's see what you have as reserve. These are the evidence of that actually you invested money in this very agriculture. So we cannot be talking about food security while our silos are empty. We have not built even any new silos to say that we're having surplus, that farmers are producing, we are adding more to the silos. Nothing you can find in silos. In fact, the truth remains that we are living by the grace of God, because that's why we continue to see the consumption we are. Every day we are going to China, going to Dubai, going to foreign nations to import what will feed ourselves.
All right. Unfortunately, I do have to cut you off there because we've run out of time. But yes, thank you for all of that, the comments that you've put out there for us. All right, so we have come to the end of our show for today. And I would like to thank my guests in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us. And to you, our viewer, thank you so much for watching. Please do well to follow us on our social media platforms. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. All you need to do is look up Trust TV News. You definitely find us there. Well, once again, my name is Chamun Dabeng. Come back again. Let's talk numbers.